You said Crawford needs to get that Tim Scott. I think I'm liking the Tim Tszyu fight right now. I'm liking that fight right now over. And it's only because Tim looked it good. If Tim looked like shit, I don't need to see that. I don't need to see him beat up on. I need to see him fighting somebody that looked good, that coming off a good win. You know, I need to see some real fights. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see nobody beat up on nobody that didn't look good and shit. That's weak shit to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a lot of that shit Canelo be doing. He be beating up on dudes coming off losses or bad performances and shit. That's weak, man. Fight somebody coming off something good. Now, the Errol Spence thing, that's kind of, I don't know what the fuck his problem is. You know what I'm saying? For the dudes who say, well, you could say that about Crawford. He beat up on Spence, and Spence been off for a long time. Well, that's Spence's fault. He said he don't need no tune-ups, man. He said he don't need no tune-ups. They was believing in the hype and shit before they went to that fight. He was chinny. He was too small. He was chinny, and he was too small. So I ain't trying to hit none of that either. But all I need to know is if Spence will really go through with this thing, so we can just kind of move on. We can kind of just move on. Because people go blame Bud for this little hold up right now. They go blame him for this little hold up right now. In reality, initially it seemed like he didn't even really want the fight. He didn't even want the rematch. You know what I'm saying? He said, look, man, you know, that's what reports were saying, like he didn't really want the fight. They'd rather Spence move on. Do something else. So they can kind of do something else. You said you was going for Spence. You said John Molina did better than Spence, and I was going for Spence. Bro, you ain't lying, bro. He did. John Molina put up a better fight than Spence, dog. A lot of people put up a better fight than Spence. It's almost crazy. Like, you gotta almost question, how will Spence do against Tim Tszyu? I don't even know if Spence could beat Tim Tszyu, y'all. I honestly don't know. I could be rooting for the brother all I want to, but in reality, based off what I've seen from him lately, could he beat Tim Tszyu? I don't even think so, dog. I don't even think so. Will he be able to walk down to Tim Tszyu? Will his jab be effective against Tim Tszyu? I don't even know, man. Will he be hitting harder than Tim Tszyu? I don't know. I guess that's one of those things where we'll have to see Errol Spence at 154. But at this point, I don't even think it's going to matter no more. I think it's more of a style thing. He's not really a counter puncher. I think his style and his approach long term is more built for like endurance. So if you're a guy with his type of style, you're gonna get hit. So you're gonna have to be one of those dudes that's gonna be willing to take one and give one. Is Spence that type of fighter for the long haul? I don't think so. Because it's not like he's slick and quick and crafty and moving around and got good defense to where, Spence is there to be hit. He's there to be hit. And if he's moving up in weight to fight some of these bigger dudes at 154 pounds, that's quick, that can punch, he might be in some trouble. You said Delorme scored more than Spence. Yeah, he did. I'm telling you, bro. People not talking about how bad he did in that fight. Actually, the only reason why he really gets a rematch is because he's Errol Spence, he's the champion and stuff like that. There's a lot of guys that did it better than Spence, that's lesser named guys that probably damn near deserve a rematch before he do. You said Errol ain't look good at 54 when he first fought. Yeah, when he first came around, he was at 54 pounds. You said he didn't look good up there. He probably didn't. So he had to go down to where his skill set and everything translated to the beating up on them smaller dudes. I don't want to say it like that, but his style, I don't think will be effective with guys closer or bigger than him. His style, I just don't think it'll be too effective because it's not like he's a crafty guy where he relies on speed and reflexes and counterpunching. He's kind of there to be hit. And it's not like he's a crushing Deontay Wilder Arthur Beterbiev. I don't want to be around this dude when he punching type of guy. It's not. It's not, bro. I think he'll go up there and get whooped on. He'll get beat up on, man. He ain't slick enough. He ain't got no head movement. Derrick James, they didn't improve the game over the years. Derrick James didn't improve his style over the years. He didn't add no new dimensions and wrinkles to his style over the years to level up his fighters. And now they stuck, in my opinion. And then you got talented guys like Frank Martin, who in my opinion is probably the most naturally gifted guy under the stable. I don't think he's going to ever really grow with that style to use his maximum athletic abilities. I think a guy like Frank Martin will really benefit from using his athleticism, his speed, his twitchiness. I don't think a style like Derrick James could bring that out of him. I don't think they can bring that out of him. Errol Spence is who he is at this point. You said Mean Machine and Jeff Horn has more KO percentages than any of Errol Spence. I'm telling you, bro, those are the numbers and stats that people don't like to talk about. He says, I believe Bud had loaded gloves. David Irizian said it in his fight. You could say it when he hit Spence to affect his gloves were loaded. Okay, so Bud had loaded gloves. All right. So what proof did we have of him having loaded gloves? Because the Irizian fight, that design was a late design. I think the design was actually made by Steven So-Called Nelson. And it was a bad Everlast came out and said that was their fault for making those faulty gloves. It was nothing loaded. If the gloves busted open, he would have saw some shit falling out, right? Some loaded shit falling out of them gloves, right? Just some faulty equipment. And then with the Spence fight, I mean, you just never seen Spence in there with a puncher, bro. You just never seen Errol Spence in there with nobody that's punching for real. He ain't never been in there with nobody that's punching like Terence Crawford, dog. So when he's getting his ass kicked and beat up on, you see the damage on his face. You're like, wow. Yeah, that's because he's in there with a dude with big ass fucking hands that knows how to fucking punch. All those other feather-fisted fighters, those light punches he's been fighting, those smaller dudes he was fighting didn't benefit him none by the time he got up in there with Terence Bud Crawford. Didn't benefit him none. Ugas didn't give him enough to prepare him for what was coming July 29th, 2023. Didn't prepare him for that. Danny Garcia didn't prepare him for that. He barely threw any punches. Sean Porter damn near prepared him for it, but then he took some time off. Salute to Marvelous 76 for the super chat. He says, loaded with dynamite. That's right. If his gloves was loaded with anything, it was some dynamite. If it was loaded with anything, bro, it was with some dynamite.